Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about writing a thesis statement. So before we get started, I have a quick question for you. What do you think a thesis statement is? I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to real quick. I mean, if you need more, you can press pause. I want you to think about what your definition of a thesis statement might be. You maybe never heard of it, so maybe just take a guess at it. All right, so your 5 seconds is up. Maybe you pause it so you had a little more time. But a thesis statement is the main idea of your paper, or the main idea of your essay. It's going to be one sentence long, maybe two, but we don't want to get too many sentences so that it's hard to point out. Generally, it's a sentence long. It can be 2 sentences long if you need to make it a little bit longer. It's going to be the argument, the angle, or the perspective that you're going to use to support your essay. You're going to get facts that you gather through research, and those facts are going to be what supports your main idea, what supports your thesis statement. It's going to inform the reader the attention that you're going with, the direction you're going, and it's going to be your main discussion topic. It is always in your first paragraph. We're not going to hide our thesis statement somewhere towards the end. We're not going to put it in the second or third or fourth paragraph. It's always going to be in the first paragraph. And it's generally towards the bottom or towards the end of that paragraph. It doesn't have to be the last sentence. It could be, the second to last or the third to last. But you're not going to start off with your thesis statement. So your thesis statement is generally at the end of that sentence. At the end of that paragraph. It's going to stand out, indicating the point which you build your arguments, present your facts, or prove your point. So real quick, I want you to pause your screen or pause your video. And real quick, I want you to give me some detailed directions of how to get from your house to the middle school. I want it to be as detailed as possible. So go ahead and pause right now. So I need you to test yourself. Give those directions that you just wrote. Give those to somebody, whether it's somebody in class that you're sitting next to, or if you're at home, give them to somebody at home with you, or give them to your mom or your dad when they get home. And see if those directions work. See if they know exactly where to go. Because writing a thesis statement is like giving somebody directions, and hopefully good directions. When someone reads your paper, the directions or the controlling statement or thesis statement that you're writing should be clear and upfront. The reader shouldn't have to wander through your writing, trying to figure it out, piece it together in their mind. They should immediately know what direction this essay is going in. So we're going to talk about brainstorming a thesis statement. Whoops, and I'm in the wrong storm. Okay, there we go. Brainstorming your thesis statement. So the first thing you're going to do is select a topic. So let's say our topic is television violence in children. Maybe that topic was given to us by our teacher. Maybe it was chosen. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself an interesting question. So maybe you're asking yourself, what are the effects of television violence on children? And then last, you're going to revise that question into a thesis statement, or you're going to answer that question. So this is where you're going to be doing your research. You're going to be figuring out the answer to that question. So your answer might be, violence on television increases aggressive behavior in preschool children. Now remember, this is your working thesis. This isn't your final copy, because as you go, you might find more research that maybe doesn't really support your essay. It doesn't support your thesis, so you might have to change your thesis as you go. But this is a good practice on how to start your thesis. And keep in mind, your thesis should be clear and strong, okay? You shouldn't be using vague terms. You should be very clear with what your thesis statement is, and it should have very strong language. The reader should know what your entire essay will be about just by reading your thesis statement. And finally, use specific language. Don't use things like some people say, most people think, experts believe, usually, sometimes, maybe, at least, some of the time. Don't use those types of words, because then there's the argument on, if you say some people say, well, then they'll say, well, some people don't say it. Or if you're saying sometimes, that doesn't mean all the time. Or maybe it doesn't really sound like strong language. So make sure you're very clear and you're very confident in your thesis statement. Another thing is, your thesis statement will never be a question. Okay, your hook might be a question. We'll get to that later, but your thesis statement will never be a question. It's always going to be a complete sentence. I know we started off with our brainstorming where we ask a question, but eventually you got to move to the answer to that question. It's always going to be a complete sentence. It's not going to be a title. And it's not the same thing as a topic sentence. We're going to learn more about topic sentences later. So we're going to take a look at some examples, and I want you to tell me, do you think they're good examples or bad examples based off of all that information we just had? First, everyone should exercise. Now, I want you to think, is that a good or bad thesis statement? You got it. That one is bad. Everyone should exercise is not clear enough, is not strong enough. It doesn't really have much meat to it. So people might ask, well, why should I exercise? So maybe you should say everyone should exercise to increase their health, and maybe you want to talk about how it increases their health. But just saying everyone should exercise is too vague, is too open for argument. Here's the next one. High levels of sugary foods can have detrimental effects on your personal health, such as weight gain, high blood pressure, and poor skin health. Do you think that's a good or bad thesis statement? You got it. That one is good. So here we see a list of the effects it has on your health. We're given a roadmap. Remember, we give directions. We're given a roadmap of what the essay will be about. And we're going to read about the weight gain, the high blood pressure, and the poor skin health in our next few paragraphs. And that's given away in our thesis. So our thesis kind of guided us the direction we're going to be going. So that's a very good thesis statement. The next one, reading can develop a child's analytical mind. Again, that's a bad thesis. Words like can are not strong enough. Because if you're saying reading can do it, well, maybe it won't. So think of another word that would be better. So maybe reading will improve a child's analytical mind. And then go further. Tell me how it will. And then those are what your next paragraphs would be about. So I'm going to tell you on why we need to change the legal driving age to 18. That is a bad thesis. Never, never, never tell your reader what you're going to tell your reader. So don't say, I'm going to tell you. This is an essay about. My thesis statement is, don't ever do that. You should write a clear enough thesis statement that they don't have to be told what they're told or what they're about to read. The next one. Americans should add exercise to their daily morning routine because it not only keeps their bodies at a healthy weight, but also reduces the risk of high blood pressure. That one is a good thesis because here we've made several specifications. For example, Americans, we didn't say everyone. The morning routine, we didn't say the evening. Weight maintenance, high blood pressure prevention are the two things that we're going there. So your research actually becomes easier when you do this because now you know that you're researching how it's going to help with your weight and it's going to help with your blood pressure. Here's one more. Reading develops a child's mind by fostering comprehension skills, increasing vocabulary, and exposing them to new worlds they might not otherwise encounter. Again, you got it. Good thesis. We've not just stated that reading is good. We've provided a sampling of all the benefits we're about to bring to light in our paper. You see, bring to light. That's why I'm wearing the lampshade in my head. So you're going to bring these things to light. You're going to talk about how it improves their vocabulary and how it helps with their comprehension. So I hope you got it all. This is good stuff that we're talking about here. We're going to get some examples going in class later throughout the week. But I just wanted you to learn a little bit about what a thesis statement is and some good and bad examples. So that way, when it comes time to write one as a class, you know if we're doing a good or bad job. And then when it comes time to write your own, you're good to go. So have a great day, and I'll see you next time.